And I've actually been trying to talk with you since you were out here in the States at the Whiskey. We were going to do an interview then. We hung out backstage there for a bit and snapped some shots and all that, but it just got really late and everybody was tired and burnt, so we try and pick it up and do a
Was that the last tour or the tour before?
Last tour.
With Christian?
What's that?
The one with Christian, right?
Yes, that was the one.
Yeah, LA is always very hectic, and then the fucking Whiskey, they kick out everybody, you know? It's like... they kick you out like merciless. Like they don't care if you sell out the place or not. Doesn't matter. Just get the fuck out after the show. It's like not very nice, but what can you do?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But well, I guess persistence pays off, man. So here we are, and let's have a chat.
Sure.
Cool, man. So, man, 30 years in the business, and all of a sudden I hear about this new project coming out. So it's time to try something a little bit different and venture out into other territories.
Exactly, exactly. Like 30 years, long time, and I love what I do, but having the chance to do something else, which is still heavy metal and pure metal, was a great opportunity. And of course, when the guys called me up, I was like interested, and after we had some chats and talked about the musical direction, I was there, because we wanted to go into the heavier Priest, Motorhead direction, like old school and go back to the roots and pay tribute to our roots. So that was an amazing idea.
Right, absolutely. Well, man, I'm excited about it. Hey, anything that keeps metal alive and well, and bands keep putting stuff out, and it seems like that's the popular thing right now. With a lot of different band members from successful bands collaborating with other successful band members to form something new. I mean, have you noticed that there's a pattern emerging in that?
Yeah, I saw there's a lot of projects at the moment, of course. And it's nowadays, it's much easier to cooperate, and people have not so many, like, let's say, doubts about doing it. Back in the day, it was more complicated, and the technology was more complicated to record. And now it's like people from different genres talk to each other and want to try something new. The scene is more open nowadays, I think. Yeah. So I don't think I would have this chance to do this like 10 years ago. So that's awesome.
Yeah, technology definitely makes it a lot easier, and you can just email files back and forth and record it from the comfort of your home.
Exactly. I mean, that's the great thing. I mean, finally, when it comes to the studio, we all went to the studio to record and been there recording together. But the whole pre-production and collecting the ideas and stuff, that's so much easier with nowadays technology, of course. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I've heard about how this came to be, but I'm sure a lot of the people that'll be listening to this interview don't know, how did you actually hook up with these guys and it actually come to be?
I mean, basically, they called me up, and I thought, first of all, it's like they're making fun, I didn't take them serious at first point, but when I found out it's serious, I was, of course, thrilled and honored that I told them, like, why do you call me and not a real singer, But they said, you're perfect, like, experienced, you play bass and sing, and, you're a songwriter too, so I said, hey, sounds great. Let's see, if you can do it. And I know Herman, he's a very classical heavy metal guitar player. He was a little in fear that my songwriting would be too crazy for him and like too much thrash. Mm-hmm. But in the end, we have the same backgrounds. I'm a 70s, 80s boy, and I love the old stuff. So it was great fun.
Very cool. Now, there seems to be a bit of confusion with the name. Originally, it was just going to be Panzer. Are you guys now going by the German Panzer, or is that just...
The German is just a legal thing, because there's a couple of Panzers out there, and we're going to be the first Panzer with an international release, basically. So this will establish the name, The problem is that there's a couple of Panzers that were like kind of writing us dirty mails and talking about suing us and stuff, and we were like, okay, listen, we put the German into the logo, and then you're gonna have no problem seeing, everybody will see this is the German issue of the Panzer thing, And it was back and forth, and then we just did it to make sure, nobody's pissed off. And but in the future, we want to just call this fucking Panzer,
Right.
The German is just a little thing that people know which Panzer it is, but I think after this release is out, it's going to be established and it's going to be fine,
Right, and I mean, other than Jagdpanzer, I mean, this is the only Panzer that I have heard of with just that name. So
yeah,
I did do some research and found another one, I guess from Chile or something like that, but I've never fucking heard of them, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It was actually the Panzer from Brazil that wrote us like bad mails, like right away, like, we're gonna sue you, we are the real Panzer and stuff. And we're like, sorry guys, but we never heard of you, and do you have any international release? But they kind of were upset and like a little Latin blooded, and we said, okay, let's not take chances, let's be fair and put the German into the name. But in the end, it's going to be more albums, and then we can hopefully just call it Panzer.
Very cool. So this isn't just a one-off project. You're planning on future releases as well, then?
Yeah, of course. We have at least a label deal for more records, and we see this as a long-term thing. I mean, we all know that a new project like this will not establish with one album, So we definitely want to do another album and play live shows and work on it.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, the theme, as far as music goes, I mean, obviously it's your roots. It's where you come from. It's not like reinventing anything or, trying to stand out from that. You're just doing what you know and the devil right? And
exactly. I mean,
yeah,
if you listen to the album with that spirit, like, go back to the 80s, don't reinvent the metal wheel, then you're going to have great fun listening to this record. If you expect something new, something that is a new style of heavy metal or something, then you won't find it here. We're paying tribute to what we love, and then this album makes a lot of fun because it has this just Priest and Motorhead and a little Accept and a touch of Destruction in there. So I think it's a very nice mix, and it's going to work live really well. I'm looking forward to play live with Panzer.
Right, absolutely. And the music's very brutal. It's right up my alley. I mean, that's what I grew up on as well. And the lyrical themes and the artwork all seem to go hand in hand. I find it interesting, in this day and age, a lot of that type of mentality is frowned upon. Of course, in the metal circles, it's not. But and metal's always gotten a bad rap on the outside, anyways. But what are your thoughts when it comes to, especially being German, promoting that whole kind of war mentality and, with the tank on the cover and the, the brutal themes that are, accompanying the music and the lyrics. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, what are you trying to get across? Do you get any criticisms against that?
Of course you get criticism right away. I think on the first promo clip that Nuclear Blast posted, was the Nazi thing right away. Oh my God, Germans and Nazis and bad guys, and that's something you have to live with. I mean, Panzer is first of all a German name. It's a tank. It's a war machine. It's metal. That's how you see the band. The band is brutal, straightforward, in your face. That's why you've chosen the name. And of course, when you have a tank name, you don't put a butterfly on the cover. So we wanted to have this tank on the cover, the most brutal one ever. But if you look at the tank, you will also see there's a lot of details there that show the irony also that we carry with us, with the cliches, and so it's the same thing with the lyrics. The lyrics are not like for pro-war, or the lyrics are more like anti-war or criticizing society. So I think people that have a deeper look on the whole Panzer thing, they will understand that this is not just cliches. There's a thought behind it. And if you see the cover in its detail and you see the little clown on top who's driving the tank or who's the boss, you will understand that there's a lot of irony also behind this. I think that's always a part of metal and a part of what we do is, we do this is entertainment business, where not everything is that serious as people take it.
Right. And that's one thing that's I've found interesting, especially when it comes to German bands, is that a lot of the German bands tend to have somewhat of a sense of humor where you guys throw something in there that make it just a little bit, off to where people don't take it so seriously. I mean, obviously, you're serious about your music, but what you're trying to get across or what you're trying to promote, it's all tongue in cheek in certain ways. Was that accurate?
Of course. I mean, we've been growing up in this generations after the war, so talking about certain things was not allowed, so also the war thing was a bad part of history and the Nazi stuff, and so we all been very respectful on one side about it, and on the other side, we're all aware of what happened, and so I think the best tool you have in life is a certain amount of irony, and if you don't put this into music, I think, I'm totally not, I can't understand those black metal bands, that are 100% serious about what they do and they take themselves too serious. That's no fun for me, So for me, music has to have a certain amount of criticism, a certain amount of irony, of course, also some seriousness, but the mix is important.
Right, absolutely. And, and the truth of it is, from an outside perspective, I think I keep hearing about stories about, Nazi this and Nazi that. The bands, even bands that aren't German, are getting stuff like that. I know Sabaton, the band Sabaton, who speaks about war and all their songs, get a lot of that type of crap. But, as a German band, you have to be tired of hearing, or being, grouped in with that. And I look at it in a similar way, a comparison, like when it comes to like African Americans here in the States who try and make it some kind of a race thing, and they always go back to talking about slavery, and I'm like, you're not even your grandparents or great grandparents were slaves. It's so long ago, and exactly. Never forget. But at the same time, it's the 21st fucking century, and get over it already.
Exactly. That's exactly the case, Call it a day. It's over. History, goes on.
Yeah.
Stop to live in the past.
You're not Hitler or Nazis or the SS. You're a fucking metal band.
Yeah, exactly. I think most of people understand, and especially like the metal that we play, also with Destruction, is a lot about social criticism, and it's totally like against that stuff, So people that know my history know really well that I've been always like writing critical lyrics about society, and that we're very well aware of the Nazi stuff, and we just had a song on the last album also about Auschwitz, about the Germany and Poland are so close together now, even if what happened in the past, the new generation of Germans and Polish people are really close together, and of course there's some other people that lived there and had the war and it's still in their heads, and I totally understand that for them it's still a bad part of life, but if we wouldn't move on with our lives, where would we be? This world had a lot of wars and a lot of terrible situations, and you always have to look into the future and not into the past. Of course, you shall not forget the past and shall learn from what happened, but it's a sad thing. It's not just like with this. A lot of people like to look back and always think the past was better or something. I'm not such a guy. I look forward into the future, and I'm not living in the past. I'm living today, and I think that's what everybody should do. But people are looking for excuses. We're living in an age where nobody takes responsibility anymore. Like if the president gets a blowjob from a fucking from a fucking girl living in his office, he's not saying I got a blowjob. He's saying I had no sex with this person. Nobody takes fucking the responsibility anymore. We have a lot of problems here in Germany too, like politicians and whatever. Nobody's talking the truth anymore. It's a problem of society nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's. I don't think we're ever going to run out of problems in society, ultimately. But obviously, from speaking with you here, would you say it's safe to say that you do try to promote some sort of social change, not necessarily political, but political in some degree, on some level, through your music? Are you hoping that people will maybe see things in a different way, or not necessarily your point of view, but a different point of view anyways?
I try to, have some social awareness, at least, That's what I'm trying to have with my lyrics. I'm writing about stuff that I see, that I feel, that I fear, and it's in my lyrics, and I'm sure some people gonna read this and understand. So it's basically also my social and psychological therapy for myself. If I keep all this in my head, it's gonna get cancer. It's gonna get negative. So it's a good therapy for me to write this stuff, to get it out of my head. And I'm traveling so much, so I see a lot. So this is always a good influence for the lyrics. And on the other side, I'm not preaching anything. I don't want to put my opinion into somebody's head. I'm just think aggressive lyrics in my direction is my best way to express myself with the music.
Definitely. Very cool, man. Very cool. And I applaud you for that. I mean, that's something. There's so many bands out there that seem to just write about nothing. There's no substance to it. And I appreciate you at least being upfront and honest and putting it out there, because a lot of us, it's therapy to hear your shit, hear where you're going from.
I mean, that's great. Thank you, man. I mean, I get mails sometimes from people telling me like, hey, man, thanks for this and this album, been helping me in a different part of life. The lyrics and the music, kept me going on and stuff. And of course, that's the biggest thing somebody can tell you. It's like that you gave him faith in life, because life sometimes can be very difficult. And if music can give you a little light and a little lead, that's fucking amazing.
Right on, definitely. Now, I got to throw this out here just because I'm trying to push for this. I'd love to see this happen. Has anybody made mention or tried to steer you in the direction of putting together a big four of the Teutonic thrash movement, so to speak?
Oh yeah, we've been talking about it, and we had 2 years ago we had a big show in Germany where all four of us were playing, and it was a big success. It was a lot of people, but it seems to be a little complicated with the time schedules and different agents and different ideas behind it. And some bands are touring a lot, some others don't want to tour much, and it seems to be complicated. But Destruction always said, whenever it's going to happen, we're ready. So that's all I can say now is whenever this should happen, call us up. We're ready to do it. We know the fans want this badly, and now we're still all healthy and in good shape, so we should do it soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. That would be one I would definitely not miss. I didn't actually go to the big four of Metallica and all that. I mean, I've seen all those bands so many times before, and it's great. I don't know. It's just such a huge thing. I'm not used to the gigantic festivals and stuff like that. So I just didn't.
Yeah, it's very big. It's very big. I think also, as much as I like to play the big festivals, sometimes it's too big, and I think metal works much better in like smaller circumstances,
right. Like that show you guys did at the Whiskey. I mean, they may have been asses about kicking you out, but that place was fucking packed, and there was some energy in that building that night, man.
Oh yeah, Whiskey is always a great show, a great energy, and that's how metal works best, of course, in tight venues, packed up, a lot of sweat, a lot of energy, and I always say, when you play a closed room, the energy doesn't leave the room. Yeah. But if you play in open air, you cannot really catch the energy because it's so far, Yeah, as much as I love open air festivals, for me, it's always more fun to play in a club.
Yeah, I'm spoiled with the club scene anyways. I mean, I love that. I just saw Creator out here a couple months back as well, and I think they put on the best show I've ever seen them do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all about that. But the European bands, the whole music scene is my forte anyway. So, I've always looked at bands like Iron Maiden and Sabbath and Priest, and the American metal scene's been secondary to me. So, if you guys put something together and get all four of you together, I will definitely be there, probably in the front fucking row.
All right. Hopefully it's going to happen. I think it's a must. I think the fans just need to put pressure and keep on asking about it, then it's going to happen. It's a question of demanding it, and we're ready to do it.
Very cool, man. Hey, Schmier, I thank you so much for your time, man. And this new album's fantastic. I've been cranking it.
Thank you, man. Great to hear that.
People turn their heads when I'm parked in traffic there. They're like, what the hell is that? So, yeah. Good stuff, man. Thanks, you. Man.
Thanks a lot, David. And looks like we're going to come back with Destruction in next year with Sepultura for some shows in the States. So
fuck yeah.
Hopefully see you in California again.
Okay, man. We'll be there. Absolutely.
Okay.
You
Thanks,
have a good
man.
one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.